So how's it going then?
Yeah, good mate. Good. It's hot. It's hot today. When you said I'm gonna go and get the dog, pick that package up before the dog starts barking, I'll have to go and sit inside for a bit 'cause it's really,
It's
really
so
humid
sweaty out
today.
there.
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't want something to get delivered and the dog just go nuts. I can't hear
yeah.
anything. So, I mean, I guess firstly, let's kick it off. So,
Yeah.
how's things going recently? What have you been working on?
So, well, recently, as you know, given the background, I'm in a different country now, which is
Mhm.
obviously part of
We can
everything
see
that I've
that.
been building. Yeah, building that up. So at the minute, what I'm focusing on is higher quality content based on everything I've learned this last few months and focusing on a higher ticket client to obviously sustain this move that we've done from UK
Mhm.
over to Asia.
Mhm.
So yeah, looking at going more onto YouTube
Mhm.
and like I say, just in general, dialing back the volume of posting that I'm doing and going more for the quality side of things. So
Yeah.
well, you'll have seen I had my first stab at it last night, so I don't know what you thought to that one that I did last night.
What was that? A short
Um,
form one? A short form or
yeah,
long
the
form?
short form one, the short form, that one where
I'll
I'm
have to check
sat
it out.
here. Yeah,
Well, it looks good. That angle certainly looks good. So for
yeah.
context, I mean, you was doing so let's strip it right back. So remind me what you was doing before you joined my community.
Well, before I'd done a couple of mentorships, one for a service-based cleaning business that just was really boring and absolutely not my bag, but it sounded like it could have been an easy way to make money. But obviously, as we become well aware, there is no easy ways to make money, and that was
What,
just yeah horrific.
what was that? Like a
Um,
jet washing or window cleaning sort of thing?
yeah, sort of yeah. So basically, this guy he was a really good guy. There was nothing wrong really with the program. I just couldn't see myself doing it long term, and I couldn't see how you could make it profitable.
Hmm.
Because like you, so basically, I were doing what they call end of tenancy cleans. I would advertising for these,
Right.
so you would go
Yep.
in and clean up after somebody had left. Obviously, you know them, don't you, with your rental that you've got. Um, but
Well,
the price
you,
that I
you you can make a lot of money, can't you, doing that? Like if you get it right, that's it. I suppose like Airbnb is quite a good model for cleaning.
Yeah, I mean, it was great for stuff like that, but the problem is I couldn't get the staff, the subcontractor, at a low enough price to make it profitable for me.
Mm.
And the whole point of the business model was to sub everything out and not have employees. But I couldn't see how, without having employees that you paid less than an actual subcontractor, how you could actually make money out of it. So that quickly got boring for me. Um, and also, I'd been watching this other mentorship that were flying about in fancy cars and going on fancy holidays. And that
Yeah.
kept catching my eye. That seemed a bit more exciting than cleaning flats and
Well,
stuff.
you
So,
can say that, can't you?
so yeah, so I dipped my toe in. I messaged these guys and spoke to them a bit. And yeah, so I ended up paying quite a big sum with them to end up with, I did a few months with them and ended up with a drop shipping business
Hmm.
um, that wasn't making any money. It was costing, well, the word I used at the time was hemorrhaging money because I was just pouring, felt like I was just pouring money into a black hole. And I think by about September, which is when I reached out to you, I'd spent about 12 grand with them. And the
Yeah.
previous venture had cost me, I think it was 4,800 quid, that other one cost.
Mhm.
So by the time I spoke to you, after approximately like a year in the trenches, I'd spent 17 grand and I was worse off than where I'd started. And obviously the whole reason I had started is because we wanted to make this
Mm.
move from the 9 to 5, but more importantly, moving from the UK and being able to go and live where we want on his own terms. So yeah, I'd gone backwards in that
Yeah.
respect because I'd spent loads more money. I couldn't see, and I'd lumped money up on credit cards and stuff because I believed from what I was
Mm.
being told by these mentors and stuff that I would just get that money back. It looked so easy to earn money. I was like, oh, just
Mm.
stick it on a card again, stick it on a card again, and it'll
Yeah.
come back. But it never did, as you know. And then obviously I reached out to yourself. We had a very honest conversation about what I was doing. Sorry, it's red hot. Um, yeah, so obviously we had a very honest conversation about everything that I'd done up to that point. Obviously, I think I said to you, like most people do, I'd learned more in that hour with you than I did in the six
Yeah.
months or so that I'd been with the previous mentorship. Um, but also, I think more than anything, I think what came out of that conversation was from the perspective with you is that I could see that you had got integrity, that you were honest, that you were being, it was warts and alls. You didn't pull any punches. You didn't sell me a dream. You just told me basically, if you want this business model to work that you've got, you need to spend, I think you said probably another 10,000 at least, or, in that ballpark. And do you actually really love it? And that's where the honesty came, I think, was, well, no, I didn't really see myself continuing
Mm.
in and having this empire selling dog collars and harnesses.
Mm. I think that's part
Um,
of the problem, isn't it? Because people want to get into this online business stuff, but they overlook the small details like, are you actually going to find this business fun to build? Because any business that you build is going to have hard times that you have to go through. And if you don't enjoy the business, are you really going to see it through? And that's where I see a lot of people fail, not because the business doesn't work, but just because they're not passionate about the idea. And
And I
with
think
your,
we've spoke about it a couple of times, haven't we? It's like it feels like it felt like I was going to create myself another 9 to 5, essentially, something I
yeah,
didn't want to do.
no. And with your move, you want something that's online, something that's scalable, profitable, that allows you to work from anywhere in the world. All you need is that internet signal and some technology with you, and then you can make money.
Which I think at that point, I believed that that sort of business that I was trying to build, that was an option. But I think, when we had that conversation, you were again very honest saying it's possible, but it's going to be a headache dealing with
Yeah.
fulfillment centers and stock and returns and stuff. If because as you know, we've not fully emigrated to this place
Mm.
that we're at now. We're just going to be traveling. So, like, and you said, didn't you know, if you're going to be trying to deal with customers, customer service, returns, stock, fulfillment centers,
Yeah.
suppliers, while you're trying to move around the world yourself,
Mm.
is going to become a headache. Which
Yeah.
is,
It can be a great business model, but it takes some time to set up. And I think that's the key part, isn't it? You do have to put a lot of money into the business to build that momentum, to get to the point where you're massively, you can leverage all the different things that you can outsource.
yeah.
So I guess like before you joined the community, then what would you say you was finding difficult?
So I think if you would have asked me that question when we had that first conversation, I would have said making sales, running ads, all that stuff. But I think looking back at it now, I think the real answer is I didn't really know what it was that I wanted to do. I knew that
Mhm.
I wanted to leave the UK. I knew that I wanted to leave my 9 to 5. I knew that I wanted that freedom and that living on your own terms, lifestyle, business thing. But I didn't know what that was or what that looks like
Mm.
because I thought, like we've just said, I could have this drop shipping business or ecom business that I could just set on autopilot over there and I could go and live my life and just cash out every time somebody
Yeah.
bought a product. And that's obviously wasn't the reality. And I think so, like I say, I think the real answer is I didn't know how to make the lifestyle business, the leaving the UK and living on my terms happen
Yeah.
in a way that would suit the lifestyle that I wanted to live.
Well, this is what we spoke about, didn't we? Like on that first call, we spoke about the idea of leveraging social media, building a personal brand, and selling something that's digital because you're taking a lot of this friction away and this enables you
Yeah.
to just make money from your phone, which is awesome because that's what fits the lifestyle that you're looking to build.
Yeah. But I also remember saying, I'm not going to pick up a camera and start speaking to it. Can I do
Yeah.
it without my face on it? And obviously, again, the answer is it's doable, but it's a lot harder.
Hmm.
And I think,
Like with
I
most
took
things.
that, yeah, and I took that away. I started building my own digital product using the training, because the training was really easy to follow. That was another thing that was sort of night and day from the previous mentorships. I could turn your training on
Mm.
and have it on a separate screen and follow the training and be told exactly what to do. It just felt a bit more practical,
Mm.
the training, than it was theory based stuff.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's obviously then I
definitely
started.
it's definitely the best way to learn because you're watching someone else do it. That's how I learn best. I like to visually see how someone's doing it and then kind of copy. Whereas
Yeah.
sometimes with people that teach a lot of theory stuff, it's really hard to follow along and actually apply that into your own business.
Yeah, it's how do you actually turn that theory into practice when it's something that you don't know, which is like, say, what was nice was just to be able to follow it literally word for word and build a digital product. And the first one I built was the 30-day program for burnt out dads to overcome being in burnout and taking back control. And I really enjoyed that process. And
Mhm.
then on the back of that, I played around with so many different lead magnets and stuff, but obviously quickly realized that Jack was right. I can't just do this without leveraging social media.
Yeah,
And to do
yeah,
that properly, you're going to have to put your big boy pants on and pick your phone up and start talking to it. But I think the other thing that really sort of woke me up to it was obviously indulging in social media. And obviously, because of what I was trying to achieve in terms of escaping the 9 to 5, the algorithm had obviously picked that up and was shoving people doing similar things towards me. And I got up one Saturday morning and was like, I can't sit and watch other people doing this any longer. Like,
yeah,
if I, I preach it a lot now saying, if you want this life, then you've got to get out your comfort zone. And that's what I decided to do. So I started a TikTok because I've never had a TikTok before. So I got no followers. I wasn't following anybody. I could do it in what I call
yeah.
ghost mode for a bit
TikTok's good
without
for that,
anybody
isn't it?
knowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you can build your confidence and then move over to the other platforms.
Yeah. And that's what was really, that's what was good because I'd not got that following. But again, like you say, the TikTok algorithm is very forgiving and it
Mm.
helps you grow and it gives you a lot of feedback straight away, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I learned a lot very quickly. And like we've spoke about again in business, where I've had to pivot a couple of times because, like I say, I started off with a um, product that was for burnout, but people didn't seem to be that interested in that. It was when I was talking about the work, working 9 to 5 and that sort of thing. I did a one video that was working hard doesn't work anymore, and that was the first video that really got some traction. That got nearly 150,000 views after only a few weeks of posting. It might have only been 2 or 3 weeks of
mm.
posting, I think. And I was a bit like, oh shit, what do I do with this? Because it's like I couldn't keep up with the comments. I didn't really know what to do. But that really sort of gave me a sort of a launch pad then to go, right, this is more what you should be talking
Yeah,
about. This is more what people want from you. This is what you obviously are better at talking about. And yeah, it gave me the confidence then as well to see that, people do want to listen to you, do want to
mm.
engage with you. Obviously, it
Yeah,
helped the following and it just, yeah, it all compounded. And I think from that sort of outlier video there is where started with the confidence to really just
yeah,
go
yeah.
for it, go all in.
I was gonna, that's probably when it proved to you that this is something that you can do.
Yeah.
Like using social media, leveraging, building a personal brand, and actually, you know, providing, building a business off the back of it, which is the whole goal.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so. I had that, and then obviously, then that's when I realized, okay, well, people want me to talk more about the 9 to 5, the working man, and that was, felt more relatable, felt more authentic. Because as much as I'd been through burnout, and I believed in the product, and the product did sell, obviously, I think I was more passionate about this 9 to 5
Yeah.
escape thing because obviously that's what I was doing this all for anyway, so that we could escape it ourselves.
Yeah,
Um,
the burnout stuff was, it's a good little practice for you, wasn't it? In terms of making a digital product and just seeing how it all works.
yeah,
And now you're able to take that same skill that you've started to develop and then carry that over into your new idea, which, like you
yeah,
said, is moving to, basically moving out of England to go and live life somewhere else. And I think a lot of people aspire to do that sort of thing. And now you can leverage your social media journey to be able to help other people do the exact same thing.
yeah. And I think it's also proved that obviously you don't. I think you said it in a recent video. Having a 9 to 5 job is a choice now in this day and age, and I
Yeah.
think that's this journey has really proved that if you do want it enough, you can carve something different out. And we're very much in that digital age. I think we've spoke about it before about our parents had the housing boom. There was
Yeah.
the Bitcoin crypto boom, and I think this is the boom. I missed all those, and this is the one that I want to
Mm.
capitalize on. And
So
And I
how?
think again, I think what solidified it for me as well was I think a few weeks in, I got my first referral to the community
Mhm.
and actually got paid for that. And it was only $40,
Yeah.
which people might just think, oh, no, $40. But that $40 meant more to me than anything else that had come through my bank in the last 12 months, because
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
$40 was basically pure profit
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
me just leveraging my time, following the training. I think I was still in the free trial on Stan Store, so I wasn't paying for a Stan Store. So, I mean, I think the only thing, yeah, no, at that point, I don't think I'd paid for anything. So that $40 was literally just pure profit. So to go from spending thousands and thousands of pounds, getting further and further into debt, trying to, pay for these fast tracks, pay
Mm.
for these automation types things, paying for success, for then actually just doing some graft, getting out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
leaving your limiting beliefs at the door, and then actually being able to make money and it be profit was like, wow, this is actually,
Yeah.
and I think, again, we've said it multiple times, haven't we? If you can make a little bit of money and make profit, you can make
Yeah, well,
more.
it's this whole thing around like this is why we call it a lifestyle business because ecom is great. It's a great business model, but you have to spend so much money and put yourself in a massive negative before you actually see the money back. Revenue and profit are obviously very different things, and the problem with social media is people share lots of revenue screenshots, but they never really talk about the profit. And we know from doing ecom for many years that, it's not got the best margins, especially if you're doing drop shipping and some of these other sketchy models. Whereas building a lifestyle business, you can very quickly start making thousands of pounds per month in profit, which to some people doesn't seem like a lot, but that's more than enough to start looking at replacing your salary and quitting your job. And you can do that a lot quicker with these sort of lifestyle businesses where you can leverage social media, build some sort of digital product business. And very quickly, like you said, you can start to make actual profit, not just revenue, because you haven't really got anything to spend, especially if you're not running ads, especially
There's,
if you're not buying stock and things like that.
yeah, and I think it's just a bit crazy because of going from that thinking that you have to throw so much money at something
Yeah.
to actually be able to make money just from, you know, giving your time up for making content, posting content, talking to people, having conversations, and that's the other thing as well that I found is that I really enjoyed helping people, which is why I think I was never really invested in that product based business because I didn't get that satisfaction from it. I got satisfaction from helping other people, bringing them in, and then in January, I think it was January, I got my first $500 a month
Mm.
client. And that was a bit like, again, a wow factor because it's like that client didn't want anything from me in terms of they didn't want a product. They
Hmm.
didn't want, any sort of, they would just want your time and your support and your mentoring and coaching. And I think one thing that bothers me a bit at the minute is I do feel like mentoring and coaching have got like a bit of a stigma around them because
Yeah,
people have used it in a wrong
absolutely.
way. And I wish there was another word I could use, but yeah, this guy just wants mentoring, wants show him what to do because again he's really passionate about changing his life, getting away from doing what he's doing now. And yeah, that's just again just to think, well, that's for your profit. You don't need to give anything, not
Yeah.
even a digital product to this person. You don't even need to film a training video. You
Well,
literally
this
just
is
got to be there to answer DMs and jump on
this this
calls.
is um this is what we always talk about. It's like people are sat on knowledge, skills, experience that they could package up and build into a business. So I speak to a lot of people who want to go away and they want to start an e-commerce store around a product that they don't even use themselves. And it's difficult because if you don't have knowledge around the thing that you're selling or you don't believe in the product, how do you expect your customers to believe in that product? Whereas if you package your knowledge, like maybe you're really good at a sport, a hobby, or you've done something in your life that other people would be willing to listen to you and learn from, then you've got a business. You can package that up into some form of community, course, mentorship. It could even be simple guides and ebooks like you started with.
Yeah,
But the idea is we're using things that we already know and then building a business off the back of it, which is why it's so profitable, why it's so fun, because like you said, we're helping people.
yeah,
So how
and
long have
that's
you been a member for?
so. I had a look, obviously because I
It's
knew
around
we'd got
six
this
months now, isn't it?
call. And I
Five,
started
six
in
months.
September. Yeah, about 5 months, I think, if you were to, split hairs on it. It's about 5 months. I think it was about, towards the end of September.
So five
So
months.
again,
And how many, you've obviously been doing the social media now for a good few months. How many followers have you got?
so in total now, I think I've gone from, so I had 100, all I had was an Instagram account with 180 followers. So I've now got TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and I've just started leveraging LinkedIn. And across those now, I've got about 8,500.
Yeah, that's insane though. That, you've
Yeah,
done that really quick.
yeah, it's mental. And I still look at it now and think, how, especially when you think like, think back to those first few videos and you're like, nobody's watching these,
Yeah.
nobody cares. And now, I mean, it's now I'm like looking at my phone and every hour or so, I've got a new somebody started following you. And that's from
Yeah.
content. A lot of it's from content, that I've done a couple of weeks ago. So it shows,
So
the more you
consistency.
do, you've got it out there. There's
Yeah.
different
You,
and having
you've
that
been
variety.
you've been creating content pretty much every single day, if not multiple times a day for the last few months. And that consistency has really built, it's compounded. And now you're in a really good spot because you've built an audience, people are following you, they're listening to you. You've built an audience, and that audience are the potential clients, customers. And this is the whole idea of personal branding because you've not paid for that audience. I think you worked out, didn't you? And how you said about how much you would have had to pay to get the traffic or to build the audience that you have. I think
I'll
I
have a
can't
quick,
remember what you
I'll
said.
have, a, I'll have a quick look and see if I can find that.
It was
But
a
yeah,
good
it
few
was,
£1,000s, wasn't it?
yeah,
And you've done that just by posting content, and most of the content that you've posted is just off your phone. So you don't
yeah.
need you don't need any high tech equipment or anything like that. You can really do this by leveraging what you already have. And I
The
think
first couple,
the story that you've had is moving to because where are you right now? You're in Thailand.
Thailand, yeah.
So that is that's what you've used to tell your story. You're moving your entire family. Maybe that's something you want to share.
Yeah, so sorry, I've just got it out. So at the time I did that call, it was 350,000 and had 350,000 views.
Yeah,
And I worked out if you'd paid for that amount of views on Meta ads, it'd have been 1,570 quid.
yeah. And
And
you've
that
got way
was
more views since then, haven't you?
1.4 million in the last
Yeah.
30 days at the minute.
So
So
yeah, crazy.
yeah. So
It's
sorry, yeah. Um, so yeah, the journey has been a bit crazy in terms of moving the family across the world, but that's essentially what I started this all for, like I said. So, we had a family trip to Australia in 2024 where the kids and my wife and we all fell in love with Australia and started trying to make that work. And we started that trying to just find jobs in Australia, and that proved to be a bit difficult in terms of trying to find a job in the niche in the industry that I work in, and then or did work in. Um, so that's when I started this journey of trying to find, well,
mm,
I want to do it. We're going to do it anyway. So can we do it on his own terms? And that's where this obviously trying to find a way to earn money online or start a business, and be self-sufficient and live on his own terms started. And yeah, like I said at the beginning of the call, obviously I went through a couple of dodgy mentorships that
mm.
didn't really get me where I needed to be, cost me a lot of money. I came to you, joined your community, took on board. Um, I mean, secretly, I do think I feel like I am the perfect student because I feel like
Yeah.
everything you've said. I do feel like everything you've said to me, I've not questioned it. I've just gone right. I'm doing it,
Well, you
and
followed
I've
it to a
just done it.
T. Yeah.
Yeah,
You followed it to a
and
T, and you're seeing the results within a matter of months, which is awesome.
yeah, and obviously, so yeah, so that has meant now that what 3 weeks ago we got on a plane from the UK. We sold his house, quit this job, so I've been 9 to 5. Beck, my wife, she packed in her business.
Mm.
She's, I've been able to basically retire her now and say, she doesn't need to work. She can be mum. She can homeschool the kids. And yeah, so we left the UK at the end of February, and we've now started the life of living our terms, living our lifestyle business, and making
Yeah.
social media and the digital online platform. work for us so that we can, move around. The next place that we're going looks like we're going to Vietnam,
Okay.
and then after there we're going to the Philippines, and then after there will probably be Australia. So that's our life now, and it still seems a bit surreal to think that
Yeah,
we're able to do
absolutely.
that.
But it's awesome though, isn't it? Like that, that's what a lot of people dream of. And that's such a big win for you because it's such a, an awesome feeling to be able to do that, to retire your wife and to give your kids a different future.
Yeah, exactly. And the kids, so they're not, we feel like they won't be bound by, the norms of society. And, we're not like, anti-society people or whatever, but I just think it didn't work for us. So let's try a different way and see what, and hopefully that gives them different opportunities. And I
Yeah.
think, again, it's something that we spoke about for years. And again, it's something we speak about in the community a lot, isn't it? Is the right time. Beck actually said this morning, why didn't we just do this years ago? And I said, oh, well,
Yeah. It's
there'll
always
have been a
the,
reason. There was a reason why not. There was something else to do, something to finish, something, some other sort of milestone that, and we've done it really messy. You know what I mean? It's like, we haven't really planned anything. We sold our house on the 26th, was it 26th or 27th? 26th of February. When that house sold, as in completed, I locked the house up. Beck had already left the day before and gone and moved in with her mum and dad for a couple of nights. I'd been down to Reading to my HQ for my 9 to 5 job and handed my laptop in the
mm,
day before. So on that evening, I slept on a single mattress in an empty house in the middle of the living room. Got up the next day, confirmed with the solicitors that the completion was happening, locked the house, took the keys to the solicitors, dropped those off there, drove the car that we'd got left to a We Buy Any car, sold it, went and sat in a burger place because I then got no mode of transport with
yeah.
my bag on my back that I was taking around the world, and got a taxi to my in-laws. We had a farewell meal, got in a taxi, went to Manchester Airport and flew to Thailand. And we'd got an Airbnb in Thailand booked for 10 days.
Mm,
And that was it. And that's one thing I do stress to a lot of the people that message me about it and ask me about it. It's like, we haven't got a great plan. We just decided it was time to do it and we'll just figure it out. Because
yeah.
literally, as
Yeah.
cliche as it is, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Well, like we said, a while ago, the worst thing that can happen is you just end up back in the same position where you was. So, and like this is the same for a lot of people. Like, there's not normally a huge risk attached to any of this. It's just, there's never a right time. Just taking action and just trying things. And I think that's what you've done, and it's working. So it's really awesome to see.
Yeah. And like you've just said there, I had that conversation so many times, especially to people who I worked with, saying, well, the worst case scenario is I come back and I just start doing this again. But then
Yeah.
I've actually thought about that since and thought, to be fair, there's no reason why I would have to do that. I'm
Hmm.
not saying something wouldn't change and we might have to go back to the UK. I hope not. I hope we don't because I don't, we love what we're doing. But I don't believe I would ever have to go back to a traditional 9 to 5. I don't think I could ever stomach it. And not
No.
because I hate it, but I believe in the skills that I've now learned.
Yeah.
I just think,
Yeah.
how could I ever go back to doing something normal
Mm.
when I've got all these skills that have taught me how to, make money sort of
Yeah.
autonomously and on my own terms.
I think that's one of the best feelings, isn't it? It's like knowing that you never have to have a job again, a traditional 9 to 5 job.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you said, it's the skills that you build. And once you build those skills, this is why I don't necessarily agree with a lot of mentors who do things for you, because if you're not learning the skills yourself, then you're not really in a position where you can take those skills and just replicate that time and time again.
Well, if you're just paying for that as well, what happens if you don't have the money? And then
Mm.
your income stream stops. So let's say I was paying you to do all this for me while I'm over here living the life in Thailand. But what if that money runs
Yeah.
out
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't pay you and you go, sorry, Joe, no more automation.
Mm.
And then it's like, sorry, family, like no more Thailand. We're back. We've got to go home because I've not learned how to do it. But I think it's very powerful as well to think that I wouldn't have to go back to a normal job, to be able to
Yeah.
think I've now learned enough skills that means I can live on my terms regardless, I think is amazing.
Yeah, it is. I think what you've achieved in such a short space of time is amazing. So, who would you say this community would help the most? Who would you say it's for? Like, who would you recommend? If someone's out there, maybe they're struggling with something, what sort of person are we looking to help?
I think it is literally, it's just anybody who wants more from life than they're currently getting. You know, it's somebody who wants that flexibility, that freedom to live or work on their own terms. And I don't think that has to be as extreme as what I've done and sell your house and go and live in Thailand or Bali or Australia. But if you just want more time, more flexibility, more freedom, be your own boss, be back in charge, be in charge of your life in the way that I feel we should be, and
Yeah.
not be dictated to by a system or a schedule that's set by somebody else. So I would say, to pick somebody, it would be, I just think anybody that feels a bit stuck or anybody that feels a bit fed up, I don't think, I don't think it matters what gender, what age. I think if you've got that itch that you want something more from life and you want to be your own boss and you want to live on your terms and you want to earn money doing something that you enjoy,
Mm.
then I think all the skills that we have and I've learned inside this community give you the opportunity to do that. Because I don't feel like what we teach within the community now restricts you to a particular product or model or
Mm.
anything. It's by definition, it's the lifestyle business, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the skills that you develop, isn't it? And they carry over into many different business models. But that all depends on, what level of, well, what people want to build in the first place. Because not everyone wants to bring out a product. Some people like the idea of leveraging social media, building a personal brand, and selling these digital products or building a community. So if someone's in the position where you were, let's say, how long ago? 6 months ago, 1 year ago, what would you say to them?
I would say you need to capitalize on the, I can't think of the word now.
The opportunity?
The opportunity, you need to capitalize on the opportunities that we've got available to us right now. And I think what we've got right now is it's the digital age.
Yeah,
Social media,
absolutely.
social media and personal branding are our Bitcoin, are our property boom,
Mm.
are our, I described it to somebody months ago. Somebody had a bit of a pop at me and they were like, well, why should we do this? And I'm like, well,
Mm.
what about, like, I came from a pit village. So
Mm.
like my granddad's uncles, whatever, they were coal miners.
Mm.
And the way I look at that is like we capitalized because the ground was full of coal, but they're empty now. But our coal is social media and
Mm.
being able to make relationships with thousands of people at scale very quickly,
Yeah,
very easily, and
yeah.
then monetize that.
Well,
So
that's
for
the
me,
best
that's
way.
what that's
Yeah, that's how we kind of describe it, isn't it? It's like personal branding is building relationships at scale. That's all it is. And we've all been in the position, I'm sure you was the same, where we have these limiting beliefs and we're too scared to use social media in a way that brings us more clients, customers, and it's scary because I think that's one of the biggest barriers for a lot of people is they're so afraid of what people are going to think of them, the judgment of others, that they don't take action on these goals, and they end up just staying in a job they don't enjoy for far too long.
yeah. And I was definitely guilty of that, not just from a social media perspective, but
Mm.
even before I started that very first mentorship, I had that fear of judgment. I think every people do think, oh,
Mm.
what are you trying that for? Or it's just going to be a scam.
Yeah.
And yeah, a couple of them didn't work out, but like anybody in business or an entrepreneur, not everything works. Like stuff
Mm.
fails. My social media journey, I've pivoted to different angles a couple of times because that's what works.
Mm.
We don't,
Mm.
but yeah, I just think, yeah, the fear of judgment, the limiting beliefs. But yeah, I think the fear of judgment is the biggest one. That's what I
Yeah.
think most people worry about, especially when it comes to social media. And I would stress to anybody that you
Mm.
need to just go for it because I realized very, very quickly, even after that very first video I put, nobody
Yeah.
cares. Nobody messaged me and took the piss. Nobody messaged me and made me feel stupid. Like everybody was too busy doing what they were doing. And when I did
Absolutely.
actually get some feedback, it was positive.
Yeah.
When people who I knew did start to watch the videos and I got feedback and they were like, yeah, this is great what you're doing.
Yeah.
And now people ask me how to do it because they
Yeah.
want to do the same.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, let's leave it there,
Yeah,
but keep smashing it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you achieve over the next 6 months. I think it's going to be really awesome.
yeah. Cheers, mate. Well, cheers for all your help as well,
No,
because I
you're more than
wouldn't be
welcome.
where I am without you.
You're more than welcome. All right, Joseph.
Right,
Well,
cheers, mate.
take care, and I
You
will
too.
speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon, mate. See you later.